My sister-in-law tried to ruin our lives. My wife and I taught her a lesson instead. My wife Jenna was the most stunning woman I knew, inside and out, but her sister Mary, a former model, always put her down. What's worse, during my Mel's birthday party, Mary manipulated and accused me of something so outrageous that we were forced to fight back. If there's one thing I know for sure, it's that my wife Jenna is the most beautiful person I've ever met. Not just on the outside, though she's stunning, but in the way she carries herself, in the way she cares for the people around her, and in how deeply she loves. But unfortunately, she doesn't always see herself the way I see her. Years of comparisons, subtle and not so subtle, between Jenna and her older sister, Mary, have chipped away at her confidence. Mary has always been the golden child in the family. A former model, effortlessly elegant, and someone who thrives on attention. She walks into a room expecting all eyes to turn to her, and they usually do. She's undeniably beautiful, but the way she wields that beauty, especially around Jenna, has always rubbed me the wrong way. From the very beginning of our relationship, I could see how much of an impact those comparisons had left on Jenna. She tried not to show it, tried to act like it didn't matter, but I could tell. I could feel the weight of the years she spent living in someone else's shadow. I tried my best to support her, to remind her of her worth, and for the most part, we kept things in balance. But then Mary crossed a line I never saw coming, something that made the past insecurities feel small by comparison. Let me back up and give some context. At every family gathering, Mary always managed to slip in a comment about Jenna's appearance, her life, or her achievements, never overt, never obvious enough to be called out, but just sharp enough to leave a mark. I remember one evening in particular. We were at a birthday dinner for their dad. Everyone was chatting, the atmosphere was warm and relaxed, and then Mary leaned toward Jenna and said, loud enough for others nearby to hear, "You're lucky you found Ethan. It's nice when someone can overlook the little flaws." The way she said it was almost cheerful, like it was some innocent joke. I felt Jenna stiffen beside me. She laughed it off in the moment, trying not to make a scene, but I could see it got to her. That night, as we got ready for bed, she turned to me with a serious expression. "Do you think Mary's prettier than me?" she asked. I was stunned. "What? No, Jenna," I said right away, taken aback that she would even think to ask. "Why would you even think that?" She gave a small shrug. "It's just, everyone always acts like she's perfect." I took her hands in mine and looked her straight in the eyes. "You're the one I married. You're the one I love. Mary's just Mary. She doesn't even compare to you." Jenna smiled at that, but it didn't quite reach her eyes. It was like part of her wanted to believe me, but something deeper inside still held on to doubt. It hurt to see her that way, and no matter how much I tried to show her the truth, the years of emotional bruises ran deep. Not long after that conversation, we found ourselves helping plan a special family event. Jenna and Mary's mom was turning 70. They decided to throw a backyard barbecue at her house. Nothing formal, just good food, music, and laughter with family and friends. Jenna got really into the planning. She helped pick out decorations, made lists for supplies, and even baked her mom's favorite cake from scratch. She wanted the day to be perfect. The day of the party arrived with clear skies and warm sun. We got there early to help set up. Jenna was in a great mood. She was laughing with her dad, arranging the food table, and making sure everyone had what they needed. For a while, it felt like the old Jenna was fully present, light-hearted, confident, and happy. But then Mary arrived. Late, as usual, and very much making an entrance. While the rest of us were dressed casually, jeans, shorts, light sundresses, Mary stepped out of her car looking like she was ready for a magazine cover shoot. She wore a sleek, form-fitting dress, high heels, and designer sunglasses, like she'd just come from a rooftop cocktail party in the city. It was completely out of place, but that didn't stop the compliments from rolling in. "You look stunning, Mary. Wow, love your dress." Every comment felt like a pinprick, and I could see the shift in Jenna the moment Mary arrived. Her shoulders hunched slightly, and the light in her eyes dimmed. She moved quietly to the grill to help her dad, keeping herself busy. She said little the rest of the afternoon, mostly hanging in the background while Mary glided around, hugging people, tossing her hair, and laughing too loud. Halfway through the party, I was sipping lemonade near the porch when Mary approached me. Her tone was sweet, but her smile didn't reach her eyes. "Ethan," she said, "can you help me grab some folding chairs from the garage? Mom said too many people are standing and getting tired." I frowned slightly. Something about the way she said it didn't sit right with me. But I nodded anyway. Sure, I replied. And just like that, something in the day began to shift. A line was about to be crossed, and none of us would come out of it the same. I looked around the yard for Jenna, but she was nowhere in sight. I assumed she'd gone to the bathroom, so I followed Mary toward the garage. I didn't think twice about it. I thought we were just getting folding chairs. But the second we stepped inside, something felt off. The garage was dim, the only light coming from a small bulb overhead. The air was thick with the smell of motor oil, old grass clippings, and mildew. Boxes were stacked against the walls. Bikes leaned crookedly in corners, and spiderwebs clung to the ceiling beams. I took a step forward and heard the door click shut behind me. Then everything changed. Mary dropped her fake smile like a mask slipping off her face. Her tone turned sharp, almost giddy. "Finally," she said, stepping closer. "We're alone. You can stop pretending now, Ethan." I blinked, confused. "What are you talking about?" She moved toward me with purpose, eyes narrowing. Her chest was puffed out deliberately, clearly trying to draw attention to her body. She stood too close. The expression on her face was something between amusement and challenge. "I know this is all you've wanted for years," she whispered. I stepped back slightly, stunned. What have I wanted? Then I really looked at her. There was something hungry in her gaze. Her lips were pursed, her hands rising like she was about to touch my face. That's when it hit me. She wasn't kidding. Without hesitation, I shoved her hands away. "What the hell are you doing?" I said, my voice sharp with disbelief. "I'm married to your sister." Mary didn't flinch. Instead, she pouted like she was the one who'd just been wronged. "Come on," she said, stepping even closer. "You know you want me." It was pathetic. I backed away, putting distance between us. My stomach twisted with disgust. "I can't believe you would do this to your own sister," I said through gritted teeth. It might have worked on other guys in the past, but not me. Never me. She paused, sizing me up for a moment, her expression unreadable. Then, slowly, a smirk crept across her face. She turned without another word and walked out through the hallway door, calm and composed, like nothing had just happened. Only moments later, I heard her voice again, louder this time, filled with feigned shock. "Jenna." Oh my God, Ethan just came on to me in the garage. My stomach dropped. I rushed out after her and froze when I saw Jenna. She had just stepped out of the bathroom and was staring at her sister, stunned. Her eyes locked onto mine, and I saw the heartbreak immediately. Pure devastation. Then Mary turned toward the garden where most of the guests were and yelled for everyone to hear. "Ethan just tried to kiss me in the garage." A hush fell over the yard. Heads turned. People stopped mid-conversation. I could feel the eyes on me, feel the air thicken with shock and confusion. "No, wait, Jenna, she's lying," I said, desperate, out of breath. "She tried to kiss me, not the other way around." But Mary was already crying, real tears or not, I didn't know. She played the victim perfectly. Her voice cracked, and she sounded heartbroken. "I'm so sorry, Jenna," she sniffled. "I didn't know how to tell you before, but he's flirted with me in the past. But what he did in the garage, it was too much. I can't keep lying." She even reached out to hug Jenna like some kind of wounded angel, but Jenna jerked away, her face pale with disbelief. She didn't say a word. She simply grabbed her purse and walked out of the house. I ran after her. For some reason, she let me take her home. The drive back was silent, tense. I kept glancing over at her, but she just stared out the window, arms crossed, lips pressed together. Her expression didn't change once during the entire ride. When we got home, she sat down slowly on the couch, her eyes fixed on the floor. She didn't speak. She didn't move. She just sat there, still and quiet, like she didn't know what to feel yet. I dropped my keys and jacket and knelt in front of her. I couldn't hold it in. I had to explain. I told her everything. Every word. Every movement. I told her exactly what had happened in the garage, how Mary had tried to kiss me, how I'd pushed her away, how she'd spun it around before I even had a chance to react. Jenna listened, but her face remained unreadable. She was quiet for a long time after I finished. Finally, she spoke. I don't know what to believe, she whispered. Her voice was small, fragile. Jenna, it's me, I said, kneeling lower, placing my hand on the rug in front of her. You know I would never do that to you. Never. I don't even like her. She did this on purpose, to hurt you. She's not just mean, Jenna, she's evil. I meant every word. But all I could do now was hope she believed me. Jenna looked away from me and turned toward the window. Her hands were clasped so tightly in her lap that her knuckles turned white. I could tell her mind was spinning with everything she'd just heard and seen. Part of me wanted to keep talking, to explain even more, to beg her to believe me, but something inside told me she needed space to process. For now, words wouldn't help. Time would. Finally, she spoke. Her voice was faint and shaky, barely above a whisper. I don't know what to think. People always pick her in the end. The weight of her words landed heavy between us. I knew exactly who she meant. Her parents, relatives, friends. People had always chosen Mary. She was the loud one, the pretty one, the one who knew how to play people. And Jenna had lived her whole life being compared to that, being told in subtle and not so subtle ways that she wasn't enough. I couldn't stand the distance between us anymore. I stood and gently wrapped my arms around her shoulders, holding her close. She didn't pull away. That alone gave me a sliver of hope. Baby, I said quietly, I swear on everything I love, I didn't do what she said. I would never betray you like that. I just need you to trust me. Jenna blinked, and I could see the emotion in her eyes. There was doubt, but also something else, pain, yes, but maybe a flicker of belief too. She wanted to believe me. I could feel it, but years of Mary's manipulation and their parents' favoritism had left deep wounds. But how do I know for sure? She asked softly. That question hit me harder than I expected. Not because I thought she should immediately believe me, but because I understood what she was really asking. This wasn't just about the garage or the party. This was about a lifetime of being told she was second best. She needed more than words now. I took a deep breath, and then an idea came to me, one that made my pulse race, but I knew I had to do it. I'll prove it. Right now. This very moment. Jenna looked at me, confused, as I pulled out my phone. Her posture stayed rigid, but she didn't stop me. I scrolled to Mary's contact and hit the call button. Then I pressed speaker and placed the phone on the coffee table. Jenna sat stiff beside me. I heard her gulp quietly, so I kept one arm around her, steadying her and myself. After 2 rings, Mary answered. Hello. I made my voice sound uncertain, hesitant, like I was trying to sound regretful. Mary, hey. About what happened in the garage. I think I shouldn't have rejected it. There was a pause. Jenna tensed beside me, but she didn't move away. On the other end of the line, Mary's tone lit up with excitement. It was almost smug. I knew it. I told you there was something between us, she said, her voice practically purring. If you hadn't acted like you didn't want me, I wouldn't have told everyone about it, at least, not right away. I glanced at Jenna. She was leaning toward the phone now, listening closely. Her expression was changing. The heartbreak I'd seen earlier was fading, being replaced by something sharper. I pushed forward. Yeah, I said, each word tasting bitter. Maybe I was just nervous. You're so beautiful. Oh, I know, Mary chuckled. I'm so much better than Jenna, right? You made a mistake not going for me from the beginning. But this is your chance. That was it, the final nail. I turned to Jenna, expecting uncertainty or maybe even more tears. But what I saw surprised me. Her jaw was clenched, her eyes locked onto the phone like it had just confirmed every horrible thing she'd ever suspected about her sister. Her face had changed. The sadness was gone. It had been replaced with steel. Suddenly, she grabbed the phone. So my husband made a mistake, huh? She said sharply into the speaker. Silence. Then, the line went dead. Mary had hung up. But Jenna wasn't finished. Within seconds, she opened her contacts, scrolled to her parents' number, and hit call. Her voice was steady but forceful as she told them the truth about what had happened in the garage. Every detail. How Mary had made the move, how she'd lied in front of the entire family, and how she'd done it all to hurt Jenna again. Her mother's voice came through the speaker, uncertain and defensive. Jenna, honey, Maybe you're overreacting. You know Mary likes attention. It was probably just a misunderstanding. Jenna's whole body tensed. Her voice rose, sharp and furious. That's exactly the problem, she snapped. You've been excusing her behavior my entire life. Every time she hurt me, you looked the other way or told me I was being too sensitive. Do you even care how much damage she's caused? Do you even care how much she's hurt me? There was silence on the other end. But before Jenna could say anything else to her parents, her father's voice broke through the silence. Enough, he said firmly. Stop being so dramatic. Don't ruin the rest of your mother's big birthday over this nonsense. It was like being punched in the gut all over again. Jenna stared at the phone, speechless. I watched her face crumple, not in confusion anymore, but in clarity, in finality. That moment confirmed what she had feared all her life. Her parents would never see her. Not really. Not without the shadow of Mary standing next to her, always getting their approval, no matter what she did. Talking to them was useless. Jenna took a shaky breath, her hand trembling as she gripped the phone tighter. Then you have no daughter anymore, she said coldly. And Mary has no sister either. She ended the call with one tap and dropped the phone into her lap. Her shoulders trembled, and her eyes welled with tears. I could see the grief bubbling up, not just from tonight, but from years of trying to be enough for people who had made up their minds a long time ago. They'll never change, she whispered through her tears. I had been caressing her arm gently, but now I shifted to hold her fully, wrapping both arms around her like I was shielding her from the world. I kissed the side of her head and held her close. Then we move on without them, I murmured. We don't need that kind of toxicity in our lives. Jenna nodded slowly against my shoulder, her tears soaking into my shirt. But as it turned out, things were only just beginning to spiral. Mary didn't take Jenna's decision well, especially not the fact that we had turned her own words against her. Her ego couldn't handle it. And like a child who didn't get her way, she retaliated. But instead of confronting us directly, she launched a smear campaign behind our backs. She began spreading lies to everyone who would listen, family, friends, acquaintances. She told them I had cheated on Jenna, that I had tried to isolate her from her family, and that I was manipulating her. The most hurtful part was that Jenna's own parents joined in. They backed Mary's story and fueled the fire. Suddenly, we were getting scathing phone calls from aunts and uncles we barely spoke to, receiving cruel texts from cousins, and reading hateful comments on social media. It was exhausting. But Jenna and I made a decision early on. We wouldn't let it break us. We blocked the people we needed to. We deleted the messages and ignored the gossip. We reminded each other daily of the truth. We stayed focused on us. And then we did something even better. We sought help. We started therapy. Jenna went on her own to work on her self-esteem, and we attended couples therapy together. From the very first session, I saw a shift in my wife. Something subtle but powerful. She was beginning to believe again, in herself, in me, in our life. So we kept going. Session by session, the weight started to lift. But Mary wasn't done. One night, Jenna and I came home from dinner at our favorite little restaurant. The evening had been perfect, just the two of us, good food, laughter. We were finally feeling normal again. Until we walked through the front door. Something was off. The house was quiet, too quiet. I walked toward the kitchen and froze. The window above the sink was wide open. A cold breeze slipped through the screen, rustling papers on the counter. I looked to the dining table and saw something that made my stomach turn. My laptop was on. Open. The screen glowing brightly. That alone was alarming. I always powered it down before leaving the house. What the hell? I muttered and stepped closer. I clicked the mouse and my inbox opened. My jaw dropped. Just then, I felt Jenna behind me. She looked over my shoulder, and I heard her gasp. "Ethan, did you send this?" "No," I said, almost breathless. Someone had used my email account to send an explicit message to my entire office. Worse, there was an attached photo, risque and completely inappropriate. It wasn't of me. It wasn't of Jenna. It was just trash. Pure sabotage. It didn't take a genius to guess who had done it. Mary had left the laptop open. The window open. She wanted us to know it was her. She wanted to rattle us. She wanted me fired, disgraced. She wanted to destroy the peace we were rebuilding. I felt something in me snap. "That's it," I said, my voice low and cold. "I'm done playing defense." That night, we called the police. We filed a report for unlawful entry, harassment, and digital impersonation. Then, the next morning, we contacted a lawyer. Within 24 hours, a cease and desist letter was sent to Mary's address. The letter came with a warning. If the harassment didn't stop immediately, we would file charges and take legal action. Harassment, defamation, emotional distress, everything on the table. We were prepared to sue for reputational damage, and that meant real consequences. Financial ones. When Jenna's parents caught wind of the legal action, they tried calling again. They tried to intervene. They begged her to let it go, to think about the family. They claimed Mary had just gone too far out of hurt and jealousy, and that Jenna shouldn't escalate things. But Jenna didn't flinch. She told them in no uncertain terms that if they took Mary's side again, they were cutting themselves off for good. There would be no more second chances. They quickly realized we weren't bluffing. And once the threat of legal action settled in, everything changed. The harassment stopped. Completely. The lies faded. The whispers died down. And eventually, the truth started making its way through the cracks. A few relatives even reached out to apologize. Not all of them, but enough to matter. To our surprise, my workplace handled the email scandal with surprising grace. My boss called me in, asked what had happened, and after a brief investigation, confirmed I wasn't responsible. In fact, a few coworkers even joked about the incident, and things moved on. My job was safe. And finally, for the first time in a long time, we were free. Months passed. Jenna began to smile more. She laughed often. She didn't flinch when she looked in the mirror. She no longer compared herself to anyone, least of all Mary. One morning, while sipping coffee on the patio, Jenna took my hand, placed it gently on her stomach, and whispered, "We're having a baby." My heart soared. We were beginning a new chapter, one without guilt, without manipulation, without the toxic weight of people who never valued us. And this baby would be born into love. Not pressure, not favoritism. There would be no golden children, no comparison games. Just honesty, kindness, and the peace Jenna and I fought so hard to build. Our future was finally ours. And it was beautiful, just like my wife.